Welcome, one and all, to Northamptonshire in the UK. It is Silverstone, it's the British Grand Prix. It's round number 7 of Season 4 at DTR, and we're here once again with Division 3. It's good to be back myself, and I'm looking forward to another, great night of racing. We've had 6 rounds already this season that have been absolutely fascinating and thrilling. As I'm just trying to figure out who's the first car onto track. We've got Alpha Stewart coming out of the pit lane second. I think the first car is Boy in the Red Bull, but it is sprint format here this evening, so that is something to sort of dig our teeth into as we get ready to get this sort of second half of the season fully underway. And the Red Bull warming up his tyres very nicely as he heads down towards Brooklands and then onto the National Straight. Talk about the championship. We've got a brief moment whilst we've got a brief moment in general. It's Nathaniel Perrin who leads the way. 5 podiums in the first 5 races, but DNF'd last week, of course. And he is unfortunately not here this evening, unable to attend. And that gives Stav, the man who has got a first, third and a second in his last 3 races, the opportunity to go to the top of the championship standings. Interesting enough, both of them have not started a race on the front row of the grid yet, have 3 wins between them and 8 podiums. They are definitely the sort of the racers of the field, if you like. The only person to get more than 1 pole position, that's Foxblue. He's here this evening in his Aston Martin. It's interesting to see how he does. But of course, this different format, a few more tyres to play with, and then we'll see what people go with here in qualifying with soft tyres for the field, I imagine, as Boy rounds the final couple of corners. He'll be starting his lap on the Hamilton Straight, heading down towards Abbey when he's on board with the Red Bull driver. Flicks the car in 7th gear, keeping it completely. I think he had a little of a lift there. We'll get the telemetry up so we can have a little look at what's going on. Gets in very nicely for Village up towards the loop, and you get a really good exit now as you head on to the Wellington Straight. Flick it through entry, completely flat as you like. Never have to lift through there, even in the wet, I don't think. Heading down towards the end of the first sector, we'll see what the first time of the evening is going to be. It's a 28.2. I haven't got some memory. That's a good time. Nice late apex for Brooklands, but lights up the rear a little bit too much. And the Alfa Romeo does very well to avoid. The spinning boy. And he will continue on his lap. Hopefully he wasn't impeded too much as he keeps it a bit of a lift and drop in a 7th gear as he goes through Copse Corner. Now we head towards Maggot, Beckett's and Chapel. One of the best combination of corners in world and motorsport. Complete commitment for the first one, just hanging on to Dilla in Chapel, and we head now underneath the bridge up towards Stowe Corner. Another fantastic corner, probably the best overtaking opportunity in the races later on, I should say. And if you head now down towards Vale and Club, avoiding that big sausage curb on the inside of both corners and getting onto the power the first time of the evening in the Alfa Romeo for Stewart is 1 minute 28.4. He goes top of the timing sheet. SMB RT comes around the final corner now. Can he go? But then he put Aston Martin on the front row at the moment. Yes, he can. 3/10 clear as things stand. Lunatic Kai a little bit further back. We've got a Red Bull or an Alpine crossing the line. Yeah, there's Boy completing his time. And the Haas driver of Tom Putty goes P3 with 28.9 as well, just ahead of Boy. Lunatic Kai got a Mercedes up the road. See what the Mercedes can do. We're on board with the Alpine. The Mercedes puts himself nowhere. Emerson Valet said, and it's P3 for Lunatic Kai. And Ivo Patrick's first person into 27.9. 27s. He puts his Alfa Romeo on the front row. Good showing so far from Alfa Romeo. Stewart crosses the line. He goes into P3. Good first sector from Relay Luca. What's he looking like at the moment? He's gone purple in the middle sector of the mini-maps. Anything to go by. And that McLaren looking good. Hammer goes P2 in the Ferrari. Another person in 27s really close up at the front. The Red Bull gets out of the way nicely. Really nice helmet livery combination, I must say, from Luca. Someone else just crossed the line there. I think it's the Mercedes of Riker and Haas at P8 and P9 respectively. Across the line we go. It's a 28.3 for Luca. Goes P5. Good lap at the moment. Just ahead of Stav, who also crossed the line in that sort of group there. Further back, Foxblue the man with only person to double pole this season. That's not the button I meant to press. There we go, I found it. Getting a good exit out onto the Wellington straight. Thinking about Brooklands, really running nice and wide there. Interesting tactic, first sector. Okay. From Memmi, really carrying good speed into Brooklands there, Foxblue. Up we go now towards Luffield and flick through Woodcote. Good exit, it looked like from our perspective. Climb through the gears, reaching just over 300 kph. He's running a bit of wing, I think, because you should really be getting 300 kph on the straight there, in my opinion. He ran a really, really low wing at Miami, something sort of taking inspiration from how I used to set my cars up. Really low drag, and maybe just opting for a bit more wing this time around. I might actually be proven wrong here as he opens his DTR. No, I don't think he's running. He's running quite a lot of wing. Foxblue, he's not reaching that high speeds on the straights, but he can carry the commitment into the corners is unbelievable from the Aston Martin. I think this is going to be a mega time. Nevertheless, perfectly negotiates Vale and Club, gets on the power now, full throttle towards the line. It's going to be 1 minute 28.5. I don't know what was missing, because it looked a good lap, and unfortunately he's 6/10 down at the moment. A notoriously good qualifier. He's probably on an in-lap. Price Phantom just heading into the pit lane. It's Billy going round at the moment. Only him and Quistro yet to set times of any sort. First of all, Price Phantom yet to set representative times. But yeah, Foxblue one's an interesting on the setup, in my opinion. He seems to be lacking a bit of straight line speed, and well, this circuit you can get into that sort of DRS slipstream train quite easily. Need to be careful he's not out of position in qualifying, because well, he's further down the order. That lack of straight line speed could be, you know, costly. But we're going to go on board with Billy as he heads onto the Hamilton straight, heading towards Abbey, and we'll see how well he can keep this flat as you like through turn one, just dipping down to 274 kph, spotting his braking zone, first proper braking zone of the lap. Can he get the nose in? He can, just touching that sausage curb a little bit. Didn't unsettle the car though. Drops down a second gear, just gets nice and tight to the apex of loop, and then through entry we go. DRS wide open, didn't hunt for the tires. Some people would dart all the way over to the left hand side there, but he's playing it sensibly as Billy. 28.1, good first sector for the Williams driver, gets the nose in well for the second part of Brooklands, but again it's the second drive where we seem to do that, and the rear just can't deal with it. It just snaps away at you as you demand a bit too much late into the corner. Onto the National Straight now, looking at Copse Corner. Can he keep this one flat like we saw Foxblue do? Bit of a lift and down to 7th gear, and that was a deficit, I reckon, of about 10 kph to what Foxblue was on the apex there. Through Maggers and Beckett's we go. Into Chapel, drops it down into 5th for the mid part, and now on the power we go. DRS wide open. Underneath the bridge we go. We're looking at Stowe Corner now, braking just about the 50 metre board, a little bit of a dab of brake. 5th gear, and now you chase the throttle on the exit using all the road available to you. Into Vale and Club we go. Bit of a hit on the inside curb. Nicely on the exit now as he runs the car wide and towards line to 29.1. Billy goes P15. I think he's got a little bit more in the tank than that. Hammer coming towards the end of his lap. That's a good combination of course, the special edition Ferrari. He's running there. The nice sort of yellow highlights on the engine cover. Around the final corner we go, and that is definitely not a representative time at all. I should have probably been paying attention to that. SMB comes towards the end of his lap. It says 3 minutes. I think the time's maybe a little bit of an issue here as he crowns the final corner. Luke, I'm really not sure what's happened with the times here, because they look normal and then they cross the line. It's like 3 minutes. So we'll see how this one unfolds. We'll have a glitch on unfortunately. X hasn't validated. Stewart not on a push lap. I think it's guys either. Fox will just head it out onto the circuits. The two Mercedes, however, pushing at the moment. Huss leads the way. We're going to follow. Huss goes through Mags and Beckett. In Chapel, the car looks nicely hooked up there from the off-board shots. And what's his combination time? Oh, we might have gone a little bit wide there. We just saw him hop across the curve. He's 0.2 of a second up in that Mercedes. That's an interesting tactic from the Williams, but he did get out of the way. You've got to give him credit for that. And as you go to the final couple of corners now with the Mercedes. Now the run towards the line is all he has to worry about. Keeps it well within track limits, and across the line it's a 28.6, goes P5. Good time there from the Williams driver. Hammer doesn't seem to be improving too much of that. That's going to be not going for a lap. Stewart. We'll see how Ivo Patricks is getting on. Unfortunately, he invalidated as well. Quite a few people invalidating, trying to find someone on invalid lap. How can Stav do? Currently P7 in the standings, goes P4, a 10th and a bit, just shy of the 27 club. Luca was up as well at the end of the second sector. Around the final corner, he goes on across the line. He goes P3. Another driver finding a 10th and a half or so, and he climbs that a little bit of the order. How close it is here in qualifying between most of these drivers. Stewart, could he be looking to try and get into the 27s? Runs wide, will he get away with it? He will, but I think he would have lost time now. Final 2 corners to go. The brake screaming as he sent it then into Vale. Run towards the line now for the Williams driver. And it's across the line to 27.9. He goes on to provisional pole by 4 thousandths. It was a questionable line on the exit of Copse, but Stewart takes the front row, that front spot of the grid. As things stand, 27.6 for Ivo Patricks in the first sector. He's flying here in qualifying. Nicely through Copse. Now, does he have the commitment through Maggers and Meckers? This could be a mega lap time if he gets this one hooked up. Collins runs a little bit wide through Chapel, but then he gets on the power. Nicely avoids going on the grass, and now looking for that shortest run. 900ths off, it's 1 minute 3.9 combination time. Can he regain that provisional pole position with 5.5 minutes left here in qualifying? Waits for the car to bite, a little bit of understeer. And potentially Hammer does a 27.7. So the bar has moved for Patricks. He has something else to aim for. Running towards the line, the other Ferrari, Felix with P9. Across the line with Patricks is 27.8. He can't dislodge Hammer, and he stays P2. So moves up to P2. So still progress. Luke comes with the end of the lap. I think he's diving into the pit lane. S&B not on a push lap. Fox Blue did improve, but not enough to really throw himself up the timing orders. You can see, well, he's well in that sort of low 28 group, and well, 2/10 could find him. Well, a 10th and a half would put him up in a P4. We'll see how he gets on. We'll keep an eye out with one more run left in qualifying, as well, at least what I'm predicting. Felix, a 10th up in the first sector. That's another mega first sector. He hasn't got the ERS though to play with it, and actually runs wide. Gets away with an invalidation. We'll see what Felix can do. He's only got 6% of ERS left, so surely he can dive into the pit lane and go for that final run. But seems like some of the guys have really got that first sector nailed on at the mid-27s. And yeah, 400's up, but well, he's got no ERS to play with. I'm sure Felix will dive into the pit lane. A few guys already on their out laps for that final run here in qualifying. Yes, he dives into the pit lane. Who's the furthest ahead on their out lap? I think it is Stewart, so it's only fair. Stewart or Tom Butty. It's pretty close actually between the pair of them. I think we did follow Stewart at the start, so it's only fair we follow Tom on his final lap here in qualifying. Minimal fuel as the drivers can get away with. Final set of soft tyres they'll be using in this session. This of course will decide the grid for the start of the sprint race, and then it's all up to the sprint race to decide the main race. Tom runs the final corner now, heads towards turn number 1. Currently at 28.9. What can he do to improve that? Nicely through turn 1, really using all the road available to him. The Ferrari Rebel gets out of the way, brakes around the 75-metre mark. A lot of curb on the inside that unsettled the car and threw it wide. Misses the apex a tiny bit for the loop. It gets a nice exit, and now ramping up through the gears. Through Aintree we go. DRS wide open. He's going to get a distance tow from Stewart up the road. What's that first sector going to look like for Tom? He's a 10th of a second up. It's 27.9. Good work from Tom in that first sector. Through Luffield keeps it tight, and then he gets on the power and he undoes the lock on the steering wheel and just runs out a bit wider just to help him carry the speed on the exit. Now, Copse corner. Here we go, using the curb on the left-hand side, throws the car in. Real commitment there on the entry from Tom. And we'll see what this second sector is going to look like for him. As he sort of opens up Magnus and Beckers quite nicely through Chapel we go now. And what's the combination time going to be? 2.5 tenths up. Can he get ahead of Wright? Can he get ahead of Lunatic Kai? We'll see now as he heads in towards Stowe. Found about the 50-metre board. Gets on the power nicely on the mid part, and just 2 more corners to negotiate. Stewart dives in the pit lane, so he will not be completing any more laps here in qualifying. It's P11 at best for Stewart. Round the final corner we go, demanding everything from this Haas, and the time is going to be a 28.7, moves up to P13. Does Tom. Boy, further back is invalidated, unfortunately. Bryce Phantom. Not sure what happened. I think he's going again or just starting a lap time. Stab on an out lap, trying to see who we want to watch right at the end. But it's a bit of traffic here and there at Silverstone. Not something we normally say for Silverstone, to be fair. But a few guys starting the lap time. Luca heading down towards the first braking zone of the lap. Just up the road, we've got one of the Red Bulls of Boy and Price Phantom. Actually, they're both up the road from him. We'll see what Luca's first sector is going to look like now as he heads onto the Wellington Straight. DRS now wide open. There we can see the papaya orange of the McLaren. The middle sector, almost 0.2 of a second up. He's gone purple. Has Luca, looking very good so far. The likes of Hammer, Patrick's, Stav behind us on the circuit. I thought they were, but I'm not sure where they are actually, to be honest. Some of them may be ahead. Nevertheless, Luca heading it down towards Copse corner. We're following the McLaren nicely on the exit with track limits as well. How much does he dare to commit? The only McLaren racing here this evening. Keeping it nice and tidy, and that's what you need, I think, at Silverstone. If you can carry the speed, keep it within the limits of the track as he just brushes the grass there. He's found even more time. It's purple once more. Luca could be looking at provisional pole. Could he be looking at pole position itself? Throws the car into Stowe. 2 more corners to think about for the McLaren driver. Driver's crossing. I've got 10 seconds left on the clock. Huss is out of qualifying. I'm not sure where, I'm not sure how. He gets in the pit lane, so nothing to worry about. Round the final corner we go from Luca. Crosses the line, it's a 27.8. He goes into P2, less than a tenth off Hammer. This man, who's up in the first sector, not quite what Luca could manage. We're going to have to try and keep an eye on quite a few laps. Evo Patrick's just up the road from him, so there's a lot of guys at the front. Stewart is done in qualifying. ABX is done in qualifying. SMB will be the second person to watch because Stav is going around the final corner. Can he get into the 27s? Can he challenge right up at the top? He moves at a P5, finding a tenth of a second. Next person, SMB. Round the final couple of corners he goes. Oh, and he spins it. He spins it. Who's going to be affected by that? Eva Patrick's luckily doesn't really. He may have been off put by that. The car seems unsettled. He crosses the line. He can only find 2,000 of a second. Hammer's going to have pole position. He finds it by even more. That's a mega lap from Hammer to go 3 tenths quicker than his own time and puts himself much further up the order. SMB can't improve. We're looking elsewhere. Price Phantom, big middle sector from the Red Bulls. A lot of dirt and stuff on the side of that Red Bull. He's been on a few adventures here this evening, but this is the lap that matters in the end. And Mercedes and Ferrari, it's Felix and Riker just coming up to the line now. Riker moves up in a P13. Felix can't improve, improves his time, but can't improve his position. Price Phantom, though, round the final corner. This is the lap that counts for him. He goes P11, so better than where he would have started. Boy will not improve. And with Tom Putty into the pit lane, that is qualifying done and dusted. And it's the Ferrari, just like it was this year with Carlos Sainz. Hammer takes to the top step in qualifying, but of course we have a sprint race and a feature race to come here this evening. And as we, well, it's going to be an interesting sprint race. I imagine everyone will start on softs. It's a 9-lap sprint race followed by a 26-lap feature race, if you will. And as Tom Putty and Boy just slot into their garages, we are almost done and we are ready for the first race of the evening. And I think it's going to be very close. I mean, if you ignore Hammer's time, Luca on a 27.8, and then half a second takes you all the way back to sort of, you know, I mean, the field is so close. Actually, you could almost say, well, the field spread is a second, basically. I mean, of course, there's a few people maybe with times they wouldn't quite want to have and got a little bit more left in the tank. But the field spread, about a second, it's pretty strong, it must be said. And I think we're in for a very competitive evening, and any mistake will be punished. But it's Hammer on pole position here this evening in Silverstone. Luca P2, a great lap from him, but unfortunately 4/10 of a second down. It was just that good a time from Hammer, the Brit leading the Croatian, leading the German Ivo Patricks in his Alfa Romeo. We've actually got 7 different teams in the top 7, which is pretty good. And then it's the two Aston Martins in 7th and 8th. Foxloo, it's actually a 1,000th between the 2 Aston Martins. Foxloo, I noticed it was a little bit low drag. Sorry, no, it was a little bit high on the downforce for my personal liking. Will that compromise him in the race, or will they be able to follow so well that could he make a move at the end of a DRS? We'll have to wait and find out, and that is the joy of this evening, because who knows? Who knows what is going to happen? Not me. Not me at all. Any predictions are always welcome. But as the drivers set their fuel loads, they set their what tyres they're going to start. Actually, I think you're locked in, aren't you, to start on softs? I imagine everybody will be on softs. It's not a track that's notoriously been hard on tyre wear on F1, on the F1 games. It's normally a soft medium sort of race. And I imagine we'll see a lot of drivers starting with the medium compound tyres in the main race coming up and doing that sort of alternate medium to soft approach, because of course you get a free choice, which does make this year's game very interesting. We'll see what people go with a little bit later on. Someone might even risk hard tyres. Risk the hard tyres. But as we line up on the grid, I think I've got it wrong and everyone's on mediums. But we'll run through it all nevertheless. Yeah, they're all on mediums. Hammer from Luca, from Patricks, from Stewart, from Stav, from ABMX, ABX and T, SMB, Fox Blue, Haas. Felix rounds out your top 10 and it's Price Phantom, Stewart, Lunatic, Kai, Riker, Tom Purdy, Boy, it's Billy and Quistro. So I got it long around. They lock you in on the medium tyres, which is a little bit annoying because I reckon the softs could do this race. I could be completely wrong and they may have changed it completely. Who do I think will win? Well, if the form guides anything to go by, you've got to say Stav's got a good chance. You know, Austria. Kai's on softs. No, he's not. Take that back. Yes, he is. You can choose then. Why has everyone got mediums? Kai is my dark horse in this. Good spot, to be fair. Kai is my dark horse in this race. I would have gone softs. Take the risk. Might as well. Burn up a set. They're not really. Not really. Well, the form guy, I wouldn't quite say the form guide says that. He did DNF last week. But nevertheless, you know, Stav, of course, we saw in Austria in the sprint races, came through brilliantly in the sprint race to then win the feature race. 3 podiums on the bounce. Starting P5 is in a good position. Hammer, well, with that qualifying pace, can you doubt him that much? 4/10 second clear out front. I think it'd be crazy to bet against him. Luca is strong at the end. Patrick's is always there or thereabouts with pace. Stewart's not afraid of a good result. It must be said. You know, I think there's a lot of if, buts, and maybes in this race. I think the picture we see now could be very different in 9 laps' time as the drivers get ready to slot into their grid positions. Of course, you do it yourself. This year's game, I'm backing Kai. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've not played this game in a while. I'm not too sure what the tyre situation is like. And Stewart's overshot his I was saying Stewart's got the possibility. He's overshot his braking, so we can see him. He's been pushed back there on the left-hand side. But as the final drivers line up into position, the Red Bull, the Williams, and the Haas, we are ready for the sprint race. It's a 9-lap dash to the line. We can't see the lights. We can now. It's 4 fire lights here at Silverstone. And it's lights down away. We go there for hell for quite a while. Looks like Stewart got a pretty decent launch. Hammer, though, slots into the lead. And actually Stewart down the inside. The McLaren going backwards. That's the ABMX down the inside. But Stewart making the move for the lead. And just the Ferrari holds it round the outside. Third back, we've got spinning Alfa Romeo. I think that's Alfa Romeo Stewart. As Williams of the Williams Stewart up into P2. Great start from him. Ivo Patrick's held P3, but it was Luca, the big loser, at the start. Stav dropped down a position as well as Foxman, Price, Phantom go wheel to wheel. The Red Bull going down the inside, keeping hold of P9. I have jumped a bit too prematurely because it's a VSC. Couldn't tell you anymore, unfortunately. Lunatic kind of not making up the positions like we thought he had the potential to. We'll just get rid of that for the time being, just to remove the big graphic. But Luca just didn't go anywhere at the start, and it was actually Stewart and ABMX that sort of come out of nowhere and just came down the inside. And Stewart challenging for the lead. You know, there. We won't see when it goes green. I hope actually we'll say green for us, but it is a VSC period. I haven't got any confirmation yet from a sort of the lights panels that are around the circuit. But you see Stewart really hustling the back of Hammer. He wants to get a good restart because of a George Russell on Sergio Perez kind of launch. He'll be hoping that he gets in an opportunistic point, but of course the drivers need to make sure they don't jump the restart here and you know, get a drive-through penalty, because it'll be so costly in a sprint race like this. And as the deltas jump all over the place when they get into slow corners. What's happened further back? I'm not sure, but we're green and racing once more. Has he got a good launch at the start? Wasn't it Felix? Felix off on the side of the road. Stewart into pit lane. I think he must have had damage from lap 1. But it's been a great restart from Hammer. Half a second clear at the moment out front. SMB putting the pressure on Stav. Will he look for a move down the inside? He's gone for it. Stav's left him the room though. Can Stav hang this one around the outside? That's not the camera. Neither of these camera ones I wanted. Aston Martin has a bit of a tank slapper. And now he's under pressure from the Mercedes of Huss. Huss are going to go down the inside into Aintree. And they're wheel to wheel now on the Wellington straight. Get a perfect view from the rear wing of Stav. Into Brooklyn we go. Can the Mercedes keep the position? He's going to go deep. Is he going to squeeze the Aston Martin wide? He is. But the Aston Martin's still there. He now has the inside 4. Luffield gets the drive on the inside, and the Aston Martin holds on to P7. Great bit of racing there from the pair of them. Huss won't give this one up. Lunatic Kai, what's happening to boy? Lost 2 places there on the exit of Luffield. Lunatic Kai back up to where he started in P13. Mercedes of Huss, well, he wants in that position back. No DRS, of course, until the next lap. As we head onto the hangar straight, he's going to go for a bit of overtake here, trying to break the toes. Aston Martin won't get close enough by the time they get to the very short braking zone of Stowe Corner, just up the road. Luca putting real pressure on ABXMT. The front two have sort of galloped away. It's a no-stop race, according to the predicted pit stop strategy, and that's a big moment there from Luca. Will he get incentives to Stav? Yes, it will. He almost looked for a move there into Abbey, but he plays it sensibly, knows that with DRS his opportunity will be coming. ABMX picks up the first Rickerson time penalty. He's been pushing track limits just a little bit too much in the opening 3 laps. Maybe that's a warning a lap for him. Maybe it's the same corner, but up in front, that gap is fluctuating around a second. I think Stewart's just got DRS now because he's really starting to reel Hammer in. Patrick, of course, 1.5 seconds, no DRS for him. And sort of the first person of this long DRS train we've got. A lot of guys 3, 4, 5 tenths separated between each other. Following Stav, Morty lost the position at the start. I think he was P5. He had on the national pit straight. Stewart, he's there or thereabouts, isn't he? 7 tenths per second. Is he biding his time, saving his ERS a touch? I mean, that's a line that will probably give you a warning through Magus and Beckett. How's Hammer doing on ERS? He's deciding to use it tactically. This could be a real duel up at the front. Wet race, apparently. So that's probably why Foxwood doesn't have any straight line speed because he's got a nice high downforce setup on. That'll be interesting to see. Further back, Lunatic Kai making a move on Tom Putt. He's got that move done and dusted before the braking zone. What's happening to SMB? He's facing the wrong way. Facing the wrong way. Not sure if it was contact or maybe just losing the car, unfortunately. And he rejoins at the down in P16, so not ideal for his race shortly. We're on to lap 4 now of 9. Following Patrick Stewart not getting DRS on this lap. I don't think we'll see if that rear wing opens. The battle at the front, it's on a knife edge. No DRS for Stewart this time around. He's hunting for a slipstream though. Patrick's happily sort of leading them round in third. Actually a little bit of gap has formed between Luca and ABXMT. Stav putting the pressure on. This is the closest duel on circuit at the moment. Can Stav get a good can he get a good exit? Stewart does the fast lap of the race down in P17 on those soft tyres. He's got the incentive. Stav could be on for a move here. Of course, no DRS for Luca in front. Stav's being a bit tactical as point Tom Putty. There's another 3 second time. What's happening to ABX? He's out of the race. Where is he crashed? ABX is out of this race. The safety car has been deployed. I can't see where he is. He's over there. How does he crash there? You see on the mini-map, he's literally on the second part. It's a quite impressive job to crash there, in all honesty. It's going to bunch the field up quite considerably. We've got the safety car out. We will have to have at least 2 laps of racing left as we start lap number 5. Up near the front. He's already disappeared. No idea how he's crashed there. It's quite impressive. I'll try and explain to you what he's done. He's crashed on the right hand side over there. Maybe just lost the rear a bit too much as he turned in. I'm not sure. Anyway, 17 runners left in this race. MX, unfortunately, after being in a decent position up in P4, will have to start the Grand Prix in 18th. So if the guys can get a move on, could we get the race going this lap? I don't think we will. So it may be, well, if we're not this lap, if we start on lap 7, so we'll have 3 laps left. 7, 8 and 9, I reckon, of racing. Here, we've had a VSC, we've had a safety car, and it's still Hammer leading the way from Stewart, from Patrick's. Lunatic Kai up to P10 now on those soft tyres. This will be a welcome break for him in his sort of tyre saving battle he's been on. So look at the big winners and losers are in terms of position changes. Stewart up to. He'll be putting pressure on Hammer on the restart, I'm sure. Haas, Price Phantom up 3 and 4. Riker up 5. Boy up 5. Lunatic Kai up 3. Tom Butty up 3. Billy up 4. Quisher up 1. It was Luca. Well, all his good work in qualifying was undone at the start. Most of the race going around in P5, and of course advantage for Luca. ABMX retirement meant that he is promoted 1 spot. So yeah, but most people of course haven't pitted, and it's on the mediums they started on. Its softs for the 2 that have pitted in P16 and P17. And of course Lunatic Kai started the race on softs, going for that alternate strategy. Maybe a bit of a tyre choice gamble of an extra set of mediums for the race, I would imagine. But we'll get going this lap. We'll have 3 laps left of racing. DRS on the final lap of the Grand Prix, so everyone's going to get a reset on the ERS values. So a 3 lap dash to the end. It's all about, there are points to be had of course, but it's mainly about your position for the Grand Prix. That is what we are focusing on really here, because the 25 points at the end of the 26 laps is what really counts here this evening. We want to win. You would have think in the current position he's in, and well, where you'd expect finish here this evening. Stab will most likely take the championship lead here this evening. Well, it's D3. Nothing is certain. And that is what we all love about her in the Alfa Romeo. Hammer, though, in a moment's time, we'll get that. I've gone one too far. Hammer will get, we'll all get the message that safety car is in this lap. It must be in this lap. I'm sure it will be in this lap. And it's one final thing for him to negotiate, to take this sprint race win and, well, convert his pole position into that P1 grid slot. Oh, I love a helicopter shot. That is a really nice one as well. It's a shame it's on a safety car, because that would look really good in the race. Safety car is in this lap. The message from race... Oh, that's nice under the bridge as well. The message from race control, they've sent it out, and Hammer becomes the effective safety car. He will dictate the pace of the pack now, weaving their way down the hangar straight and in towards. Oh, I think ABS just clipped the curbs, which may have sent him off, unfortunately, and out of this race starting P18. But we are focusing now on the restart. Hammer has gone. He's pulled the trigger. Stewart has a pretty good reaction just behind and further back in the field. Everybody's got the same camera angle. Who has got a jump? Who's found that something extra? It may have been Stewart, actually. He's within decent range of Hammer in front. Fox Blue, what's out of Price Phantom? Price Phantom facing the wrong way. He's lost the rear of the car. Literally on the entrance to Hamilton Straight, and he's dropped massively down the order. Really unfortunate for him. Patrick's not got the best of restarts. Maybe just not fired the tyres up. Already over a second down from the two guys up at the front. Oh, Hammer's lost the car. Hammer's lost the car. He's lost the car on the exit of entry. That's kind of a bit of an awful lot of space to lose the car. Maybe had overtake enabled, and he dropped all the way down to P14, 15, and it will be P16 for our once race winner. He started on pole position, and this is big news here. Lunatic Kai making up places on this opening lap. Those soft tyres, well, yielding him some sort of grip now as he's moving himself up into P8. But the Red Bull's still there. They're going wheel to wheel now into Copse Corner. It's not a corner you really stick the wheel up the inside of. They're going to go wheel to wheel, but the Red Bull holds on somehow. As Boy does pick up 3-second time penalty. That's his third and final warning. Now he's going to think about a move down the inside, and Magnussen back into the Red Bull. Says absolutely not, and holds firm on his position. This duel, I think, will continue down the Wellington Straight. And if you look behind us, Tom Potty's not far behind. He wants to get involved too. He wants to try and fight over this P8 spot as well. Top 8 have scored points if my memory is correct. As we head into Stowe once more. Stab putting the pressure on Luca as well in the battle for third. Stewart, well, he thought he was going to have an almighty duel with Hammer. Hammer's now down in P16. He's got everything to do and more from where he is. As we go on to start lap number 8, 2 laps remaining in this Grand Prix. Well, this sprint race, I should say. Stewart and Quistro swapping places down in 14th and 15th. On the brakes we go with Stab. Let's calm down a little bit, I think. Between Boy and Lunatic Kai was all kicking off between them on that opening lap. Patrick's now got a bit of incentive, less than half a second behind, goes a little bit deep, excuse me, on entry. Interesting to see the different lines. If you watch that delta, when it ebbs and flows and then sort of settles, you work out who has taken the best available. What's happened down here? Lunatic Kai is facing the wrong way. It may have kicked off a little bit. I saw the deltas fly here, there and everywhere. What's happening here? Tom Puddy's under attack by about 4 cars. Billy goes round the outside. What a move from Billy. Oh, Copse Corner. That was bold and brave. Tom Puddy may be losing another position there because it's the Aston Martin of SMB's going to go down the inside into Magnus and Beckett's. Felix wants to get involved. I think Felix has just gone round the outside into Magnus and Beckett's. Tom Puddy's getting swallowed up here, unfortunately. His teammates trying to get involved as well. And there's contact between the two Hasses, and that sends Quistro round the wrong way. But I'm sorry, Billy. That is an outrageous move. That is outrageous from Billy round the outside. It seemed, well, apparently Tom spun Kai, but we didn't see it. That's the news I'm hearing. DRS is enabled. We'll try and go back to the front. Oh, Billy, that was beautiful. Beautiful round the outside. The front guys are not separated by a lot. Of course, DRS is enabled this lap. Is it this Patrick's chart? He's going to be using up all of that ERS and more. On the exit we go in a yellow flag in sector 3. I think that's the Lunatic Kai. Shorted up in the 7th. The straight is not long enough, unfortunately, for Patrick. He can't quite get close enough this time around. What's Stewart's EOS looking like? We look down at his display on his dash. He's got loads in the bank. It's going to be difficult. Luca might be the one putting the pressure on here. Luca's used a lot of EOS. Hence probably why he's so close. I think it might be difficult to see a legitimate move for position here unless we see something happen in particular. To go through Mags to make us the one last time in this sprint race. Can we see a surprise? S&B's got a penalty. Yellow flag is at 2. It's finished a car. I think facing the wrong way. The soft tyres may have given up on the gamble. As it was pointed out to me. Not working out. Patrick looks to move on the inside, but there's no way through there. Has he got one last go into Vale? I don't think he's going to be close enough. Moves further back at S&B and Billy have swapped places, but back at the front. Stewart, well, a great qualifying, a brilliant start, and he wins your sprint race, and he'll start on the front row of the grid alongside Ivo Patricks, who takes P2. It's Luca third, completing your sort of podium, if you will. Stab moves the position into P4. Then it's Huss, Fox Blue, Riker to Mercedes, having a pretty good race. Billy with that, I mean, fantastic move around the outside. He takes P8. Felix 9, 40 rounds out your top 10. And it's Tom Puddy, SMB, Alpha Stewart, Quistro, Hammer. I mean, it was all going so well. It was all going so well. We saw it happen. Maybe just a bit of overtake too early, and well, without any lateral movement, the car becomes ridiculously unstable with the overtake enabled. He unfortunately will start the Grand Prix P15, and well, it's a race of what could have been. Lunatic card not working out for him in the end, unfortunately. I think maybe a bit of contact here and there, as unfortunately putting down P16 and Price Phantom. Crosses the line, not the fine, to round out your field, and well, the only way is up. That's how I like to see it. As we prepare for 26 laps racing, Billy gets driver of the day, and do you know what? For that move at Cops, I will agree. So far, of course, the comment is now after the decide driver of the day, which then decides driver of the week, and so far I've got a few contenders in mind. So, but of course that could all change come the. Is it called a feature race or the main race? I'm not actually sure what it's called. Or sprint race and then the something. I'm not sure. I'm going to go with feature. Or it's just race. It could just be race. Who knows? It's the British Grand Prix coming up with Division 3. 18 drivers ready to battle out for the top steps that make up our podium. Someone's drilling in the background. That's very bizarre. And as it was pointed out to me in the comments, the rain is here at Silverstone. I can see intermediate tyres laying about the garages. And if you look into the far distance, just sort of beneath the bridge that now is on the Silverstone wing across to the new hotel, it does look rather light over there. Is there another twist in the tail this evening that we could see dry weather? Sorry, we can see the circuit dry up a little bit later on. I'd like to see that. I would like to see that. I love a bit of changeable conditions. Who can adapt the best? Or maybe Anthony Davidson. Paul di Resta, Anthony Davidson. I could even be Ted Kravitz if you can be in the pit lane. And of course we've got Nathaniel Perrin, our current championship leader. Watching on this evening, can't be racing. So the next best thing to watch. See how everyone else is getting on. Well, with these conditions, might be one of those evenings you'd rather watch from the sidelines. But it's Stewart who leads the way on the intermediates. Everyone is on the intermediates. I bank on that. I might call it wrong line sprint race. But it's Stewart from Patrick's, from Luca, from Stab, from Husk. Great race from the two Mercedes drivers to go 5th and 7th. Fox was made quite a few positions in that one, and well, he'll be glad that maybe his car will come into his own now in these wet conditions. I say that as the rear gets a little bit snappy on him. Then it's Riker, the other Mercedes, in P7. We're going to go, it's Billy, P8. I mean, that move, I'd love to see an onboard shot of that move. Felix P9, Boy runs up top 10. And then comes Tom, SMB, Alpha Stewart. I've got William Stewart and Alpha Stewart, that's how I got it wrong in Monza. I did get the two Alphas mixed up, unfortunately, in Monza. Did apologise at turn after, but SMB is going a little bit slowly. Anyway, sorry, Alfa Romeo Stewart, and it's Christian MP14 Hammer, who qualified on pole, but a late spin has dropped him all down to P15, and it's Lunatic Kai, the two Alpines not having the best of days so far. Will the day get any brighter in this Silverstone rain? I'm not sure. Bryce Phantom separates them though in the Red Bull ABX MT. Rounds out your field, but as he's just going through Maggots, and now Beckett, Stewart's preparing himself. Just preparing his car for the final couple of corners, and we're about to get racing here. I've got a feeling that turn 3, 4, 5, more commonly known as Village, the Loop and Aintree, is going to be very, very interesting once they hit the brakes for the first time racing in these intermediate conditions. It's a condition you can't really practice unless you sort of set it up. It's not like you can do a time trial in intermediates. They try and find the perfect spot. Looks like the front two have done it pretty well, and we're just waiting for the final couple of cars, the two Alpines in particular, to find their grid slots. We've had qualifying, we've had a sprint race, and now it's time for the main event here at Silverstone, where the first Grand Prix was back in 1950. We're going to try and find the lights. We found them. It's 4, it's 5 underneath the Silverstone wing. The 5 lights are out here, and we're racing here. It's a jump start for Bryce Phantom down in P17. He's now P18, but it's been a brilliant start from Stewart. Is that stab down the inside for P2? He thought about it, but he's played this as a sensible card in these intermediate conditions. He slots into third. He's already made up a place now. Can he go down the inside? It's the AlphaTauri driver. Can he be late enough on the brake? Stewart's gone out front. He's 1.7 seconds clear. Stewart's flying already. Look at Stab though. He's forced out there and can't find the move. And it's Billy. How is it Billy up to third? What a start from Billy. I mean, some people have got some sort of god start here. Raikkonen, the two Mercedes have dropped down to 11th and 13th. Hammer's already up to P12. Billy is third. How on earth, I'm not sure. And he just, well, Foxblue making up positions as well, having a P5, really putting the pressure on it. We talked about his wet setup earlier on, where we sort of talked about it. I kind of dissed it. But look at Billy. Billy's going for the move for second. Oh, he thought about a move down the inside at Copse. Stewart's gone though. I mean, they're starting to reel him in a little bit. Eva Patrick's held on to P2 despite the pressure from Stav there. Foxblue just looks so connected. SMB gets ahead of Boy. That car looks all over the show. And we go on board of it, and he squeezed the Ferrari out of Felix. Drops down the order, actually Alfa Romeo off Stewart, and finds a way through. And actually, after his really good start, Stewart, I think, is struggling a touch. Gap's come down by about 8/10 of a second over the last half of that. Tom Putty and Riker duking it out in 13th, 14th. That gap's under a second. I mean, there is a part that, like, Patrick's is absolutely rapid. But also, yeah, two guys into the pit lane, a lot of damage, it seems. Here, there, and a little bit of everywhere. Stab trying to put pressure on Billy. Some guys seem to have that sort of lap 1 pace and were able to maybe get the tyres fired up really nicely on the formation lap. What's happening with this little gap here? Hammer down the inside. That's what's happening. It's Ferrari versus Mercedes. Can he get the good exit on the inside? I think he's just about going to. And it's Ferrari 10th and 11th now. Can the Mercedes come back at him? Looks to the inside now. He's going to go for the move here. Hustle. A little bit of slipstream. He's going to get ahead. Switchback though of dreams from Hammer, really clever with that one. Gave him the inside line and said thank you very much as he tucked underneath. Great move to regain the position. Hammer now up in a P11. Ferrari, Mercedes is that duel at the moment. Foxblue still in the hunt, putting pressure on people. Be interesting what strategy people go with. I know on last year's game you could really, like, if it was wet at all, of any circumstance, you'd do a no stop in the wet. You would. It was the perfect way to go. course, the game recommending everyone a 2-stop is for the predicted pit stop strategies. He's got so much more speed in the corners, but I think compared to everybody else, and maybe sort of slightly drier, sort of stereotypically dry setups, to Mercedes swap positions, and they're still dueling away. Will we see a Huss go down the inside? He will. There's nothing being given between the two teammates here as Billy sets the fastest lap of the race. And that's now Alfa Romeo Stewart in P7. Let's have a look at the winners and losers. I mean, look at this, 6 places for Stewart. Billy's up 5, S&B's up 4, Quisho goes fastest down in P16, Hammer's up 4 as well. So a lot of guys finding the positions. Sort of Luca holding up, not holding up, that's not the word I was looking for, is leading that second sort of group of them, just currently 1.7 seconds adrift from the front 5. This battle looks good between the front 5. It's like who's got the slippiest car in a straight line. Looks like Billy has got a good exit here. Eva Patrick's being nice. And what I quite like about the inter sort of conditions is you can be a bit more aggressive on your overtake button, because you're not as aggressive out of corners. You don't use it as much in the kind of, you're braking for longer. The braking zones become longer. Oh, and Stewart, that car just looks so loose. Going through Magnus and Beckett. Can Eva Patrick get the exit? He wants to, but that was even more loose. I mean, that was like a curry on a Friday night. Luca now 3.1 seconds adrift. Is Stewart going to go for the move? He's going to look for the inside. Now does the Alfa Romeo driver, and he sends it down the inside. Licks the stamp and sent it. And up at the P6 for Stewart now. He'll be wanting to use his pace and maybe try and reel in the guys in front if he can. But of course, that is no easy task with the front 5. I didn't know Luca had left. That's maybe why his pace was a little bit adrift. Unfortunately, he's now rejoined. S&B moves up to P7 though, and he gets a bit of a snap off Luca. Will Foxby go for a move? He's going to look for the inside. He got the run. He's now going to go for the inside into Village. Bit of argy-bargy. Of course, Stab's still going to have the inside line. He's still there. Is the AlphaTauri driver. Goes in a little bit deep. Does Foxby get the exit though on the outside line? I think compared to Stab, they've gone spinning around. There's contact between the pair of them. Somehow they remain facing the correct way. I thought he just turned across him because he didn't realise he was there. That's what it looked like from my perspective. Hopefully no damage between the pair of them. Oh, and actually, Stab has got damage. Stab has got front wing damage. The front right end plate has fallen off, and that is going to cost him dearly in these interconditions. You can see the understeer there. Front Knockinator would want to be. Is he in a pit maybe? Goes to the end of his into for the rest of this race. Interesting to see. Oh, it's gutting for Stav, and well, Nathaniel Perrin is cheering from the sidelines, and it's all become a lot harder for Stav, and well, up at the front though, almost missed the move for the lead as Patrick's putting the pressure on Stewart. Is the sky getting any lighter? If it's going to dry up, Stav will stay out. If it's continuing to be wet, he comes in. Stav comes in, I reckon it'll be wet for the rest of this race. It's my opinion. Or he is losing quite a bit of time, to be fair. What's happened? We've got spinners, it's Luca. What's happened to Luca? He's facing the wrong way. And he's come together, maybe with Hammer. No, maybe it's the Alpine. It's all kicking off. Hammer's going to go around the outside. The door was shut on him, though. There was no really way through there. A little bit of a spin there, maybe for Luca, and he's dropped down the order massively. It's all kicking off behind the front. Well, it's now front 4. Look for a way down the inside. There's no way through there. Oh, he's had a great race as well. Up to P. Have I just cursed him? I haven't. Oh, there's contact between the pair of them as they're dueling it out. What's happened to Patrick's? He's on the grass. Patrick's on the grass, losing the car potentially there on the exit. And Lucas coming out in the battle we were just watching. Both of them have gone off the track there. I mean, that's inventing a new line and a half. SME gets a penalty for that. He's stuck nose on the inside of Cobbs. Can he make it stick? He can. He's safe into the circuit. Because the Red Bull ran wide. They're still dueling it out. No quarter being given between the pair of them. And I mean, they've now both got time penalties, which I think is probably about fair enough. I don't know where to look in this Grand Prix at the moment. Hopefully we aren't missing too much of the action. We've missed a little bit of it, I will be honest. Boy, still keeping with the Aston Martin up the road. Eva Patrick, has he got wing damage? He doesn't seem to. And so far, I mean, Stewart has had a fantastic race. Him and Billy, the real winners so far. As Foxbury sets the fast lap of the race, a bit of clean air for him. And he's off and away. Hammer getting past what's happening to Riker. He's into the pit lane. That's why Hammer and Luca have made up positions. As Felix gets another 3-second time penalty. Oh, helicopter shot. I like that. Riker probably will slot out behind Price Vance and maybe Tom Putty as well. Gap at the front fluctuating around that second marker. The two Williams drivers having an almighty day here in the Silverstone rain. As we're on lap number 6 of 26. It's all quieting down for a brief moment, but boy, in SMB are going to prove me wrong. I am sure as we will exit, he may have the run. He's in the slipstream. DRS is of course not enabled in these conditions and actually not quite close enough to have a go in the braking zone. The XMT, but the pressure on Billy sets the fast lap of the race. Closing in a little bit on Stewart. We're watching the Alpine of AVXMT. Ramirez going relatively well. I think it's best we get the tyre life up just good, and we'll get a good comparison between some of the guys further down the field. Oh, that looked loose going through Aintree. Corner you don't even think about in the dry, and now so difficult in the wet. Billy looking really strong at this phase of the race. How hard will the Williams drivers battle themselves? I've raced Billy, it must have been 2 years ago, around Silverstone in the wet. Really difficult to overtake. Took me a while to set the move up, I remember on that occasion. Really a strong driver. And now with overtake, he's hunting for the slipstream. Is this his moment to go for the move? I think his teammate, well, has got a pretty decent set of legs on him. He's got a lot of ERS available. By legs I mean straight line speed, of course. Really does look really strong in these conditions. Fox Blue not far behind, just sort of stalking his prey, the two Williams, up the road as well. As we head onto the pit straight for the 8th time, Eva Patrick's first person into the 39s. SMB's had a spin on the final corner just before the start-finish line, and one Aston Martin driver up at the front. One is having to rejoin the racetrack as safely as possible. And unfortunately, P13. Once he gets going again, Luca through, as well as Hammer, AVX and a few others. Fisher up quite a few places as well now. As Stab said to Monster lap time, of course, new tyres for him. But that's quite a margin quicker, about half a second than what Eva Patrick has just managed to do on a new set. Up at the front, gaps really starting to come down. Just a bit of a pace comparison. I think it's fair to say that Billy, his progress has been stalled a little bit as Fox was able to sort of, they were matching each other, and the gap was always about a second as they closed in on Stewart, but now he's sort of reeling him in. We're going to have a proper three-way fight for the lead, and we've already seen that, well, Fox's car just had that straight line speed, but because he has such an advantage in the corners. So this could be a very interesting battle in the way it plays out. You know, how's Tyrway doing and things like that. People are going to be tactical with where they want to drop out on the Williams or Billy. Almost looked like he was diving for a move there. And as they round club once more onto the Hamilton straight, they go fling the car through Abbey. The grandstand's cheering away, all red, green and blue, the classic colours of Silverstone. A few umbrellas out and about. I mean, they're covered grandstands, so it's bizarre why some of them have got umbrellas. That's quite a funny one to look at, actually. Sliding on exit now in these treacherous conditions, and SME is into the pit lane. Lucas left the session again, so I think his internet is really not playing ball this evening. But we're going through Luffield for the ninth time in this Grand Prix. The front three separated by what is about 7/10 of a second, 8/10 of a second, as Tom Putty and Price Phantom swap places further down the order. Oh, Stewart round wide, Billy getting all over the curb. Is that going to give Foxblue the incentive in third place? Foxblue very much in a sort of Team Williams and Team Alfa Romeo sandwich where he's sat at the moment. He's got a decent exit. Has he got the legs to find a way through? It's going to be overtake. It's going to be slipstream, but he's getting away if anything. Yeah, he genuinely actually is getting away. Unfortunately for Foxblue, they both close in on Stewart. The gap about half a second separates your top three. Foxblue just had to turn out of a snap there. You know, is it almost a good kind of tactical method to let the two in front burn out their rear rest and then go from there? Lucas back in the lobby, which is good news. Everyone's similar on the rest battle front. And we're approaching half race distance, so if anyone's going to pit, it's around this sort of time. Is the rain intensity lightening up? Not really. From what I can see, all sorts of changes of positions further back, and it's actually Riker dueling away with Price Phantom. Who's going to come out on top of this one? Mercedes goes down the inside. Can Phantom hold it around the outside? He unfortunately can't this time around. Take that back. He's down the inside into Vale. Mercedes, can he get around the outside and then switches to the inside? No way through. And the Mercedes, a bit of argy-bargy, gets ahead. Billy's dropped back a touch on this lap. What's happened further back? Price Phantom's out. Both Alfa Romeos are fine. We have a safety car in this race. There he is on the left-hand side, spearing off into the wall, unfortunately, for Price Phantom. The safety car is out. It doesn't say it on the screen, but I can promise you it is. And I've got a feeling we're going to see a lot of people into the pit lane. Will anyone gamble for track position? We saw what pace Stav was able to do on a new set of intermediate tyres. So is it something that he could repeat? We will see. But yeah, Stewart into the pit lane. Billy, they're double stacking at Williams. Foxblue is in, Patrick's is in, Stewart's in, Boy's in, Felix is in. Got a feeling everybody's going to be in. I thought we'd have a gambler, because if you are the likes of Hammer, for example, and you risked it, I don't know what tyre they're on. I will be honest. You used to be able to do inters to the end of the race, but if someone like Hammer stayed out, he'd be leading this Grand Prix. That's my point. That's what I'm trying to say. Risk it for a biscuit. Because why not? Why not risk it? They double stacked the Ferrari. That's a sentence that never normally ends well, doesn't it? Double stacking a Ferrari. But the changes up at the front, well, I think you probably expected it. Foxblue has managed to jump Billy, just double stacking down at Williams. It's not very quick. No matter sort of how much of a gap you leave. That's huge, and as your boy has jumped Alfa Romeo Stewart as well. Because of course, double stacking at Alfa Romeo. Other than that, it's pretty much unchanged in terms of all they are. Stav, well, I don't think Stav would have gained many positions if he stayed out, and kind of the race is neutralised from a point. Everybody's on a fresh set of the intermediate tyres. SMB, well, he doesn't really need to because he's only just pitted. Got a few laps behind the safety car. I don't think we're going to dry out in this race. Of course, it could prove me completely wrong. But there's only one way to find out. And of course, that's by seeing what's happened. Following Stav, currently down in P13. Bit of work to do, it must be said. But if anyone can, Stav can. Back up at the front. Oh, I love this sort of shot. I always get distracted by it. Stewart, of course, still leading the way, where he's led from lap 1. And just behind, it's Fox who's managed to jump Billy in the pit stops. It'll be interesting once we get going once again to see how his sort of restart, his reaction is. Can he get this Williams 1-2 back? Luke is in the pit lane once more. Points a few drivers, which they will be glad about, I'm sure. Mercedes safety car leading us around this damn Silverstone circuit. To the Wellington straight we go for the 12th time. We're almost at half race distance and we're almost ready to get racing once again. I'm sure Kai will have caught back in the field and we'll get going this lap. Who would you bet on at this point? Well, the front three. If we just isolate them for a moment and have a think, because, well, Stewart, you've got to give him credit. I don't think, if you put them all in clean air, I don't think Stewart would be the fastest. But he's done a fantastic job of race management, doing the right thing at the right time, and I think, well, deserves to be where he is at the moment. Billy, that mega move in the sprint race around the outside at Copse, absolutely fantastic, and threw him a few places up the grid for the start of this race, and well, fantastic start, and look where he is, up in 3rd. Just, of course he did lose a place in the pit stops. Fox Blue, well, I think again I sort of had a go at the setup. It then turned out to be wet, and look where we are, it's wet. The safety car stayed up for another lap, so I've got to stall for another lap, which is always good fun. Just behind the two Alfa Romeos have had a really good race. Well, of course, Patrick's had that small mistake. Stewart, those made his way up the order. Boys made his way up the order quite considerably. And if you consider we're at a neutral point in this race, it's a, everyone's on the level pegging now. You've got Fox Blue up 4, Billy up 5, Boy up 5, Stewart up 7. Felix up a few places, Abe makes up 10, Quister up 5, Hammer up 4, so unfortunately that means there's a few people that have missed out. But nevertheless, it's going pretty well for quite a few, which I'm sure they'll be encouraged. As we consider getting ready, the guys will now be really getting their preparation started, and well, maybe even on the verge of finishing their sort of preparation ahead of going green once again. Williams, that's it's an unorthodox method of warming up his tyres, but it works. It sort of glitch across the screen. I quite liked it, in all honesty. Bit of me, as some might say. From Magnussen Beckett, just as we are heading towards a restart. We'll get that message from race control in a couple of moments' time. And there it is. Safety car is in this lap. It goes away now. Stewart will lead them around the next couple of corners, ready to restart soon. The Aston Martin will be raring to go behind him. We'll go on board with Fox. The safety car has pulled off into the pit lane, but when will he decide to go? He sort of sped up a little bit, is still weaving away. So he needs to see when he's going to go. Goes wide, still hasn't gone yet. It's going to get a little bit messy if he's not careful, and he's now decided to go. He has gone. And we're racing once more. There's chaos behind. What is happening? It's like 4 abreast. It's 3 abreast. Down around the outside. It's a defensive move there from... No, Stewart's on the attack here. Is he having to maybe go to the position? He looks like he dropped back a touch there. Apex though goes up into P5. What a restart. The Alpines, it was an awful, it's fair to say, awful sprint race for them. One of them's up in P5. Fantastic work now, but Stewart's not giving up on this. He's 4 half positions up at the front. Foxley's found the lead. What's happened to Stewart? He's lost 2 places there on the exit. A really poor exit from Stewart. Evo Patrick's is... I'm struggling to keep up with him. He's in the wall. And down in P16, Boyd's coming to the pit lane. Foxblue leads the way from its Billy from Stewart. It's a role reversal almost of what we saw a couple of moments ago. And well, literally before the pit stop base, it's a complete role reversal. So Foxblue though under attack and that low high downforce setup though. On the inside though, surely you'll back him as they go into Copse Corner. Yes, you do. And it's Billy has to slot in behind the top 3, separates about 0.4 of a second. As we go into Magnussen Beckett now for the 14th time in this Grand Prix. We're on the safety car restart. As 2 Williams now have gone from first and second, and then now down to second and third. It's not where they want to be, and Billy just not having the front end grip to really go for it. But he's got the overspeed on Foxblue in front. Amex up on a P4 now. He's challenging the other Alfa Romeo. They're dueling out there wheel to wheel. Shoot down the inside. Oh, it's still the same Alfa Romeo. They're coming really close together. Stewart just on the outside now as they go into Vale. Can he have the inside for Club? He's going to go nice and deep. Oh, just about avoid contact now. And Felix getting involved too. Stabs made a few positions. Quistro's made up a couple of places as well on this restart. We're on board with Huss currently in P8. We look behind him. We see 9 here. That is Hammer. Those yellow stickers are awful. They don't actually have that, do they? Hammer though looked for down the inside, no way through, and just up ahead. Patrick is out of the... He's retired in the pit lane. Stewart, well, the other Alfa Romeo trying to regain the places lost. It's right, and B swapping places. Billy knows he's got that straight line speed advantage, but he just can't keep with him in the corners, and well, really struggling in this restart. Maybe just to find temperature in these tyres and using up areas where he can. He's gaining on the car in front. Double down to the 6th. So he's going well for him at the moment. Lunatic Kai going down the inside of Luca. Good move into Copse Corner. Bold, but there Tom Buddy putting the pressure on Stav. Just looking at Hammer and Huss in front of him. Into the straight we go for the 15th time. 9 laps left to go. We get across the line. Years of Ferrari special livery, both in the points at the moment. Fox was at the fast lap of the race at 39.3. Pulled away a little bit from Stewart on start. Doing a good job to hold on to that sort of pace out front at the moment. No one going for moves just yet. On this restart, on this next lap. Where could they be shaping up though? I think, well, we're watching sort of battle for the final couple of points, paying positions. That's a good job in P8. He's got guys not too far behind him. He needs to be aware of, but he's got one eye forward as well, doesn't he? Billy's the closest he's really been since the restart. If he can keep it together. Yellow flag in sector 2. Kai is out of the race on the safety car. Just as we were about to get the battle I think we'd been waiting for between Fox Blue and it's Billy. The safety car comes out. 10 laps left to go. Someone there. Fox has got that awkward decision that if he pits, if he stays out, everyone will pit, and if he comes in the pit lane, everyone will stay out. And in my opinion, he does the right thing and stays out. You've only just put the tyres on, I don't think you get that many meters available to you, to be honest. No one opting to pit this time around, but will give that boy the chance to catch up. Boys out, I think he's retired on track. He's crashed under the safety car. I mean, if George Russell can do it, you can't really blame anyone for doing it. Grosjean did it once, so some big names crashed behind the safety car. Boy can join that list. Unfortunately, though, said the safety car perfect for him to join the back of the field, and he's locked himself in the P50. That's where he will finish, or not finish, incidentally. Yeah. You got to feel for it. Anyway, less than 10 laps to go now on this race. I'm still not sure which way it's going to swing. Of course, it gives a chance for ERS to be reset. We could go in this lap, to be honest. It's bunched up. I don't think we are. Stefan wants more than just the one lap out on track. So that's a bit of a mile under something to do. As they come round. Final couple of corners when we get going once more. For another lap behind the safety car. Aggressive warming of the front. Something I haven't noticed is both it's Billy and Stuart have time penalties, which could, be another safety car later on that could come into play. The field being a bit more bunched up, seeing they've got the pace in these conditions. The safety car just makes things a little bit more awkward. The rain, I think, is going to be here for the rest of the race. Intensity has not changed throughout. So unfortunately, it's one of those classic inter-all-race sort of scenarios. Oh, everybody seems to have come together. Bit of bunching up going on. a little bit awkward there for a second, but nevertheless, everybody getting on with it. We will surely get going this lap. As they we're preparing ourselves to get going once more after the safety car period. Foxblue leads the way on lap 18, lap 19 when they cross the line. Remember, he decides to go and watch from the rear wing. Why did he dots that? No, it's not actually like this. Two Williams paying full attention just behind. And I think Foxblue has already decided to go. Yes, he has. The racing on Swallow to start lap number 19 of this British Grand Prix around Silverstone. Company and Riker wheel to wheel on the exit for the final corner. This may have to get back there, but the front, Foxblue still leads the way. It's actually the back, and Huss and Hammer trying to go down the inside. Somehow they avoid contact. Mercedes will have the inside line for the loop. Can Hammer get the exit he wants? Still wheel to wheel between the pair of them. How they've not come together, I do not know. Who's got the straight line speed? Looks like it's Huss. Huss gets ahead now as they hit the brakes. Luke gets 3 seconds. Added to his race, stabs up a place as well already on this restart. And he's looking at the battle we've just been watching as well between Mercedes and the Ferrari. Billy really pushing on this restart. He knows this is his best chance. If he can get close enough, he knows he's got a straight line speed advantage over his rival. With a big dose. Oh, the car is sliding, but he just seems to have it right about where he wants it on the edge. He's now going to be hunting for that slipstream. He's found it. Reeling him in with every turn of the wheel, but not enough to challenge for position this time around. But he's still hunting. He wants that P1 on track at least. Even with his 3 second time penalty, the other Aston Martin has been overtaken by Luca for P13. Back up at the front. They are going at it, the pair of them. Got close, but he's this time around. They got 4/10 of a second. He didn't get that exit he wants. Surely a move could be on for the race lead. 4/10 of a second. Can he get it down enough? I don't think he can. Both of them, of course, just using all of their ERS in attack and defence. Stab though, go for the move on. Hammer, no way through this time around, unfortunately for him. Billy still really applying the pressure. The front two absolutely flying as they push each other so hard in this final phase of the Grand Prix, and you've got to feel these are critical laps in this Grand Prix. I was tempted to say critical corners, but oh, Billy just didn't get the exit there, overcommitted on entry. That's going to compromise him all the way down the straight. And the gap that was about 2/10 is now all the way up at sort of 6. That battle pauses for a moment. Stav still putting the pressure on Hammer as they go into Cop. Stav wants a few more places just to sort of give him that P1 in the championship standings. It might be someone from further behind that could possibly do it. I can't remember off the top of my head. As Foxblue says, a monster fast lap of the race compared to what they were doing. That gap now well over a second between the top two. Is that the battle at the front over? And it's a case of making sure they've got 3 seconds to Alfa Romeo Stewart back in P4. penalties. Again, as I said earlier, could be interesting. I think this midfield battle is the one we're going to be watching till the end of the Grand Prix. Of course, only 6 laps to go, including this one. As they hustle their way through. Luffield. And onto the main straight. The old main straight, I should be saying. Quistro putting good pressure on Felix, and well, a bit of pressure on himself it seems, because yeah, an unorthodox exit, the gap at the front at 1.7 seconds. Billy is safe. Actually now, Alfa Stewart's got a penalty, so Quistro is in the hot seat for the penalty front. Could get himself up to P4, I think, as things stand. Felix goes to move though down the inside. Felix, can he make that one stick? He can, because the Alfa is behind him. Felix moves up into P4. So this one will go for it. Try and get that move back. Can't. Another person on the attack is ABMX. ABXMT. Goes down the side of the corner. P11 just outside the points. Same positions at the moment. Oh, having got offended there was Haas. Has he got it overcommitted a little bit? Stavlo's trying to read this one like a book, and he's trying to just sort of set himself up to have a run on the pair of them. Can he get the exit he's been looking for? Not really, unfortunately. He's not. Sort of wanted to slingshot himself onto the main straight. He's gaining and gaining on Hammer in front, but no way through into Brooklands as they through Luffield. Once more, gap between Billy and Stewart, 3 seconds out. I think our podium kind of is settling at where it is at the moment. We thought that in the sprint race, and look what happened. Stav has great speed on the straights, and actually quite a balanced car, considering he's got great speed on the straights, for some of the high-speed corners. Just trying to find a way past Hammer, showing himself in the mirrors. Really just trying to open up exits, really get on the power nice and early. And I think that's what he's done here. Staff can have the run now on Hammer. Could he be making a move up into P8? He goes for the outside. Still hunting the toe from the Mercedes in front. Stabs, he slams on the brakes, is ahead. Moves himself up the order. Stewart and Quistro dueling it out. Quistro having to defend though into the next part. Trying to go deep into the corner is Stewart. Has he got the inside for Club? Not quite, has to back out of it. Stav and Hammer are still doing out. Stav is really having to fight for this position. And I think Hammer's just going to have the inside line as they go through the final corner. Somehow Hammer has held on. Great defence from him in the end. A little bit of drift now from Mercedes up the road. Tom Putty's got the incentive and he's joined in as well now. Stav will be a little bit frustrated in the cockpit of that car, I imagine. Onto the main straight we go. Onto the Wellington straight. There we go. Down the front 3.2. I think it's just settled out front, hasn't it? The top two are sort of happy where they are. Fox with some real pace in this one. So you could see it straight away. He wasn't running a normal setup of Silverstone. Well, because he was thinking about this main race in the wet and how right he has got it. In the end, AMX putting pressure on Tom Butty. Can Alfa Romeo Stewart get back past Quistro? The gap really close between the pair. There's not a lot of ERS to fight with. As Alfa Romeo actually on the exit of Chapel. That gap now for 6 tenths of a second. Good battle for P10. Brewing at the moment. Tom Butty just holding on as things stand. And you would imagine, well, with penalties, he might even find himself moving up a couple of places, even if he's overtaken by 1 or 2, because they've all got penalties. Penalties could still decide some of the mid-pack point positions. Zamex has a bit of a wobble on the exit there. And another one. Riker's going to go past if he can. He wants to go up the inside. I think Riker just not wanting to have an absolute airplane crash. corner. Hammer down the inside of Huss. Just trying to set this one up if he can. Stav's now got a really good exit. How early is he dare to put an overtake mode? It was almost too early. I think he's not even doing it now because there's no point. Stewart gets a 3-second time penalty. That could be crucial in this race. Quistro, so quick, let's get penalties up because I think that was sort of the next important phase of this race. The top three. Second to fourth only had 3 seconds. Stewart's got 5 Raikkonens on Putty. He's got ahead. He's lost that. Pointers just needs to hang on because he will still be getting pointers. Stav's picked up a penalty. No. Stav's advantage over the guys in front, and he would have found a few places. Unfortunately, has been lost. Stewart, glad to see that, but he's all over the place. So Stewart, and there comes Chapel losing a lot of time all the way down the straight. 2 others. Quistro on P5, great race from him. Definitely contender for driver of the day. Foxwood, look at the pace, he's now got out front and he's just run away with it. To be fair, Billy pushed away from the rest of the pack as well. Felix though putting pressure on, this is a legitimate battle. Fourth, actually I would say it was well, Quistro surely has third place, sealed it on the podium. Felix looking right past, this would only be third on track because as things stand, Quistro will be taking that final spot on the podium. We're on the penultimate lap of this Grand Prix. As your race leader heads towards Maggots and Beckett's, he's got a gap of 4.4 seconds, no penalties for Foxby, who will win this race as things stand by almost 8 seconds. And he's looked mighty all Grand Prix, to be fair, you know, tucked underneath some people's rear wings, unfortunately, just lacking a bit of straight line speed because he's got the setup dialed in for these conditions. And as he heads through the final couple of corners, I think it's only fair. We'll obviously keep an eye out for battles further back. Stav actually, but actually we'll go to Stav because he's putting a fair bit of pressure on Hammer through to slow that time around. I would say we'll go on board with Foxby for his final lap. See how it is from his perspective, but there are still some good battles in the minor points places in this Grand Prix. I think penalties could be a big decider once the checkered flag. Once the drivers see the checkered flag. Stav again, he's just a kind of Lewis Hamilton style, just setting them up. If he can get on the throttle early, 4th gear, and Lou is really struggling. You'll have sector 1, that's Avilex who's gone off. We're watching this battle because Stav could have an almighty toe now. We'll get towards Brooklands, he's got the run on the Ferrari's got the run on the Mercedes with decent enough pace to stay ahead. Stav goes down the inside of Brooklands. Can he hold it on? Hammer somehow hangs it. Oh, he's gone off the track. I mean, that's not ideal. It must be said. Riker just watching on P10. Go on to the national straight. Will he go for a move? I think he's going to go for it. If he gets the chance, he's going to go down the inside at Copse. He's going to make this one stick. He can't because the Ferrari hangs on. Once more, Quistro putting real pressure. Both Ferraris under threat, and Stav, has he gone around the outside? He has. He's made the move stick at last. Great move to get ahead on the exit there into Brooklands. Makes it drops into Brooklands. Quistro going for the move down the inside. This is for pride more than anything, because he will get third, and he's deserved third. Foxby though is your race winner, no penalties. It's absolute perfection from the Aston Martin driver, and he takes the checkered flag. I think with fastest lap as well. Billy takes P2. Still across the line in third, but it will be Quistro who takes third in real. Felix P5 stays P5. Stewart's got a lot of penalties and he's dropped right down the order. Huskers P6, Stav's P7. Make that Tom Putty P7, Stav P8. I said Tom Putty would be up there once penalties are applied. Riker Knife Hammer gets a point, and after getting pole position, getting a little bit disappointed. Then comes Stewart. And the final two guys. One without a front wing is a Max Ennis. And that is your race around Silverstone. It's been a long evening, it must be said. But your race winner, Chris gets driver today, and who knows, he might get it. I have to do a bit of deciding, I think, to work that one out. Because I think there's a lot of people that would deserve it, but Fox Blue, arguably someone that does deserve it. He's got the win in the wet, and Silverstone is his until next season. But I'm sure we will be back. It's been a pleasure, as always, to comment. I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I have. And we will see you next week for Spa, another classic, back-to-back classics. Silverstone and Spa, high-speed classics, and it's Aston Martin, Williams and Haas that take to the top steps of the podium. Fox Blue with a fast lap as well, 29 points, a decent evening's outing for him. Stewart is in second, Williams second and third. Great result for them for the team championship, despite maybe wanting a little bit more. Christo, oh god, I've got mixed up with the points, haven't I? Stewart won the sprint race, fourth in the actual race, because these are your overall evening points, if you like. Christo was third. Good overall points for Haas, 12 overall. Felix fifth in the race. Consistent stab, 9 points. I think does take him to the top of the championship. So well done to him. Patrick's second in sprint race, of course. Luca third in sprint race, of course. And unfortunately, some guys, no points this evening. But thank you for joining me. Hope you enjoyed as much as I have. We'll see you all next week for Spa.